If you watch my previous Champions Arena video, then you know that some champions are better than others, and over the past few weeks, several new champions have been added to the game. So here are the new champion combos that are currently working really well together and shaking up the meta. Let's get to it. For those of you that don't know, I am Smilinmonster and I make Web3 gaming content focusing on the Gala Games ecosystem. And today we're going to be learning about what champions synergize as well with other champions and what the current meta is, and with the new champions that have recently been added to the game like Juriel, who's basically changed up the whole meta. So as you can see here, there is a bunch of champions that I've selected on the side. If you want the full tier list video, then make sure to check out the previous video where I go over all the champions in Champions Arena, apart from the new ones that are added just recently. For example, Juriel being the main one you have to pay attention to. So the first team combo that works really well is that one AoE DPS, and then the support, you use the support to buff the AoE DPS. The AoE DPS needs to make sure it has a second skill AoE attack, and ideally if it also has a third skill AoE attack, then it's going to work wonders. Now it's no surprise here that the two champions we have picked for this team is Zafrina as our AoE champion, because she has the best second star and best third star skill in the game. She is the go-to AoE DPS champion currently. And the support we picked is Zoe. The main reason we picked Zoe is because her passive gives you defense up to make sure Zafrina can survive, and then you also have the attack up and gauge up on the second skill. You want to pair her with the ring that generates battle turn gauge up, ideally if you can get the speed attribute to make sure she goes first. Then you buff the Zafrina, and the Zafrina does the AoE damage to basically destroy everyone. So these are the core two for this team, and I have added Durex and Miko as the two other teams. Everybody loves a Durex. He retaliates to destroy the enemy team, especially if the enemy team have a reflect pendant, because when your Zafrina AoEs the whole team and they just have a little bit of HP left but your Zafrina dies, then your Durex will trigger his retaliate to kill off the enemy team. It's like a 1 or 2 turn wipe, and it is amazing to see when you do it. When it gets done to you, it can be pretty bad. And we have the Miko here. The main reason we had the Miko here is because the passive generates a 20% speed down for 2 turns at the start of combat. Now with the addition of Juriel, you basically want the Juriel Miko combo to make sure that you always go first and the enemy gets debuffed. Because what Juriel does is at the start of combat, she buffs your team by 20% gauge. So you're basically debuffing the enemy speed, and then you're increasing your turn gauge, which makes it so you go first. Now Juriel is a support, and you can also have Zoe as a support, so they can both get the turn gauge up rings as well as them being speed, and it's basically going to guarantee you go first. All 4 champions go first. You buff your Zafrina and unleash hell. Now, if you can't get these champions, there are alternatives, and as I said before, the criteria is to make sure they have a second card AoE. So a Dementius can also be a good replacement. You can also have a Roxanne and a Cello. Roxanne has a third skill transform, currently is not as good as it should be. I think they need to buff transformation skills, but when it does get buffed, maybe she could be a better alternative. But right now the top 3 picks are Zafrina, Dementius and Cello, because they all have turn 2 and turn 3 cards that deal AoE damage. Now if you want a Durex, you can replace it with a Varnus, because Varnus gives you all those debuffs and he has a better stun chance. So if you want more CC and debuffs, then you can go for Varnus. But I would actually make Juriel and Miko the go-to combo, because they are just so deadly together. And currently that meta is winning, and it's annoying to fight against because you never get a turn. Now let's move on to the second team, which is a high damage dealing champion and 2 attack supporters. The highest damage dealing champion you want to make sure is promoted the highest possible, because the more attack it has, the more attack the supports are going to get. If you don't know, some supports use the attack of your highest damage champion on your team, so you basically don't have to buff their attack. You can buff their defense, HP, speed, hit rate, anything else apart from attack, because you're going to be using the attack of your high champion. Let's show the second team. So somebody who has used this team and it is proven to work. I had the theory out, but he has put the theory to the test, and that was Ink39. So he had Magnus, Ferrella and Desmona. Now Ferrella and Desmona use the attack of the highest champion, which is Magnus, and the reason he has Magnus is because Magnus has the highest single target damage in the game, or the highest attack stat in the game. I believe it's 608. And if you can't get a Magnus, then a Kage or a Gia can suffice. They're not that far behind. I think they're 6 or 7 points below, so 601 or 602 is their attack stat. But personally, my favorite would be Gia. I like her skill set more than I like Magnus's skill set, and she becomes a crit single target damage dealer. But Magnus is also a solid choice, and it works really well because the more you promote him, the more levels you give Magnus, the higher his attack stats going to be. And I think if you promote him really high, the difference can be seen with the difference between a Kage or a Gia. Now, the reason you want Ferella and Desmona is because Ferella plays the role of a support and an attacker, and then Desmona has the AoE skill on her third skill, and she has a passive that gives you defense buff, which cannot be removed. So these two are the go-to combos. You can also have others if you don't want Ferella or Desmona, for example Azazel or Naomi, because they both also use the highest attack champions attack when they use their skills. And for the final one, you have a Durex. As I said before, it retaliates, it has CC. If you don't want that and you want more debuffs, then you can go Varnus. But you could also get a Juriel to get that gauge up and that extra speed. I think you could also replace one of these with a Miko, because the Miko Juriel combo, as I said, is such a good combo right now. It basically guarantees your opponent doesn't get a turn, especially if you have a high damage dealer. Not much to be said about team 2, it just works the way it is. Highest damage attack champion, and the supports deal the AoE damage and the extra damage, and you make sure the supports go first. You give them the speed up, battle gauge up ring, and they deal the AoE damage for you. Now we have the final team, the third team, and I think this is the most broken team, currently the strongest team in the game, and it is so annoying to fight against, so I'm going to reveal it. It is the CC crowd control team. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you have guessed what it is, and it is the Vera Miko combo. So the way this combo works is Vera on a third skill has a 100% freeze chance if the enemy has a speed down debuff on them. And Miko's passive, as I explained earlier, gives a 2-turn 20% speed down at the start of combat. So basically what this means is you want to make sure Vera goes last, and it guarantees 3 turns of permanent frozen CC, so your enemy team never has a chance to basically take action. Then what you want to do is you have the Juriel in the mix to make sure you always go first and the enemy team speed gets debuffed and you'll get gauge up. And then you can just have a Durex just to prepare the stuns if somebody does escape, or you can have the Varnus as the debuffs as another countermeasure. But this is a fairly straightforward build. You make sure everybody else goes first, Vera goes last, you get a 3-star yellow, permanently CC them, you get another 3 turns back to Vera, which guarantees another yellow card. You can get the support to generate the mana needed to make sure you get the yellow card, or any blue or red card turns into a yellow card with certain summoner spells. Now, if you don't have a Miko, you could also use a Deviant Stand, but the downside about using Deviant Stand is you need to make sure you use her third skill, and it's not highly guaranteed that you can get the third skill off before Vera's third skill, so Miko is the go-to. These two are a deadly combo. It is such an annoying team to fight, especially with the addition of this champion right here. These two combo really well, and if you introduce Vera into the mix, it's just a 3-man slaughter team. And the 4th champion could be anything you want. I've just had Durex in there because Durex is my all-time favorite champion to build. I guess Varnus could also be a good play to get those debuffs on the enemy team. But yeah, if I had to recommend a build for most people coming into the game that have never played or want to start, then this is the team combo you want to go for. Well, Durex is optional, but at least these 3, they're all legendaries, so it might cost you a bit. This team basically makes it so you can never lose as long as you go first and you have decent gear to whittle the enemy down. That's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you've learned what team combos work really well and what you should be aiming to build for your team or the next champion to add to your team. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's free, it's the easy way to support me as a content creator, and you can always change your mind later on. Also, if you don't want to play the Discord minigame, then follow me over on X. I play the Discord minigame for you so you can enjoy playing the games instead of researching those games. Now, if you want to learn about the other champions and why they weren't included in this video and why some of these champions were included in this video, then make sure to check this video right here. And also, if you want to learn more about the galachain marketplace, which is called NFT Harbor, then click on this video right here. It teaches you how to make an account, how to start using NFT Harbor, how to do a trade, how to do a swap, and everything you need to know to get started trading on galachain. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.